Hello, hello. How we doing? Can folks hear me? Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Mo, and I have a message here that Charlie wanted me to share, as she is not able to be with us today, as she is continuing to heal. She really wanted me to give everybody her gratitude for their continued commitment to be here in support of Black Lives Matter, in support of Land Back, which is something that she and I have been talking quite a bit about lately. That, you know, last year there were tens of millions of people in the United States who took part in Black Lives Matter protests, and that number has just so sadly dwindled today. And we've been talking a lot about the fact that, like, what changed in people's minds that made it so people would stop coming out here and being on the streets and calling for racial justice. If you thought it was worth being out here at any point last year, I really would ask you, what has changed and why aren't you out here more and more today? She also asked me, though, if I would give a land, labor, and people acknowledgement for our time here today. And she asked me that for a number of reasons. One, I'm a white guy, and frankly, it is our obligation to be able to provide such a land acknowledgement if we think we are the anti-racist allies, accomplices, and co-conspirators that we want to be. This should be forward enough in our minds that at any point somebody asks us to give a land acknowledgement, we should be able to do so. But on top of that, I think she asked me because I feel very strongly about land, labor, and people acknowledgements. I'm a race equity facilitator and consultant for a profession, and it seems to me that land, labor, and people acknowledgements can be really important and can be really problematic. They can be really important because as anti-racists, I think it's a big part of what we're trying to do to reframe and rethink all of the colonial fuckery that is around us all of the time that we've been taught to take in as normalized. Right? So part of a land acknowledgement is recognizing that colonial fuckery, that colonial machinery that we find around us all of the time, and paying attention to it, and drawing our eyes to it, and remembering with James Baldwin that not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. So as we gather here today, again, I want to draw attention to the genocidal history that brings us to today. I want to acknowledge the communities that were destroyed in order for us to be here today. I want to acknowledge the people, the Kathlamet peoples, the Clackamas peoples, the Tualatin Kalapuya peoples, Malala peoples, and other peoples from the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, whose families and communities and lifeways were torn apart for us to be here. But I also want to remember that it's not just land that we've stolen to be here. We've stolen a shit ton of land to be here, tens of billions of acres of land to be here. But we've also stolen tens of millions of lives. And we need to remember that we don't just need to acknowledge the land that has been stolen, but the lives and families and communities that have been stolen in the name of white supremacy so people can be here today. So I think these are some of the ways in which a land, labor, and people acknowledgement can be important, but I think they can also be really fucked up if they are just performative, or if they're meant to be the end of a process rather than the beginning of a process. Anytime we give a land acknowledgement, I think it should be tied to some commitment to change that we are going to make in our lives. So for me, I've been sort of rambling around Portland for the last year and a half, and just finally got a place of my own down on Emerson Street in Overlook. And for me, one of the things I'm committing to doing is learning the history of that particular space of land as much as I possibly can, so I can give some acknowledgement of that at my apartment, but also so that I can connect with the families, the communities that have been displaced in order for me to be there. so that I can try to create some sort of reciprocal relationship, and that I can pay some reparative rent back to them. So I just wanted to bring this up as a way for folks to think about some things we can try to do to be anti-racist activists, allies, co-conspirators between the times we're here on the corner. Because it's really fucking important for us to be here on the corner, but it's really fucking important for us to be anti-racist activists every single second of every single day. So thanks very much for giving me the time. Black Lives Matter, land back.